The nerfs are in. Want to see what the best decks in historic best of one are after all the Boros nerfs went into play. We're going to look at the metagame breakdown and tier list in terms of what are the new best decks, what people are playing after the nerfs, and kind of seeing a first look in terms of what the best decks to rank up to Mythic are going forward. So this will be our historic best of one video. I'll record a best of three one as well for the folks who play that format in the coming days. As always, we get the data from Untapped GG, what you see on the screen, companion tool that runs alongside Arena's client, tracks your win rates, puts it with other people's, gives a whole bunch of cool stats. They have draft stuff, whole bunch of cool stuff. Link for Untapped is in the video description if you want to get started. But I will paste all the deck lists, timestamp them, everything like that. We're going to start off looking at popularity of the day, and then we'll jump into the deck lists themselves. So we're going to look at Platinum to Mythic rank, since it's a little bit earlier in the month. Biggest thing before the nerfs, Boros Energy was like 50-60% of the meta at sometimes, down to 8%. So big kind of drop off from it. Before you get excited and you see Izzet Lizards, this was just an unfortunate typo. I got excited. I'm like, lizards? No, it's wizards. It's literally one letter from being a sweet new deck to it's Izzet Wizards. So we'll kind of highlight that to the folks at Untapped to just fix the little typo there, but worth noting in that case. So not huge population of stuff. Even with like the Mythic players, there's not a huge amount here, but we will take a look at things and kind of go from there. So we've had 37,000 games played in terms of Platinum to Mythic Best of One Historic, and the highest win rate deck post the ban is Abzan Amalia, 74%. So a deck that was ruining some other formats, Pioneer Explorer, is now the top deck, at least for this first week in terms of win rate. So it's leveraging the energy package. We're still seeing Ocelote's Pride here. This might be a deck you might want to consider if you were heavy in Boros and have the mana base. We have Guide of Souls. So notably, Guide of Souls now takes 4 energy to get the bonus. Ocelote's Pride is a 2-drop instead of a 1-drop. Some of the new cards the deck got, Birds of Paradise. So this is a craft-only rare from the Commander set. Adds 1 mana of any color, so just kind of fixes the Gilded Goose problem where you can only make mana once. You do lose the ability to make the food token, so you don't have the life gain enabler there, but it's more consistent ramp. It's a Note Scout as a way to help set up your mana. It's another way to trigger Explore as well with the Wild Growth Walker, another life gainer in Soul Warden. Sylvan Tutor is another special guest card. So 1 mana, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, shuffle it, put it on top of your library. So not quite Demonic Tutor, but it's a good way to set up your combo as a way there. Wild Growth Walker and then Amalia is kind of your 2 other pieces of the combo. Basically, with both of those out and anything to trigger life gain, it creates an infinite loop until Amalia's life gets to 20 power, and then it kills everything else, and then you have a huge Amalia. We have Kellen in here as a way to get some card advantage. We have map tokens as well, which incidentally trigger an Explore. So it's another way to trigger the combo. Prosperous Innkeeper, Life Gainer, and Ramper. And then we have it was playing the Golgari 2-drop before, but this is another version in terms of an alt win con. So this one you don't need to attack with Starscape Cleric out. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. It's each opponent, so it gets around the ring's protection as well. Court of Calling to find your combo pieces, and then we have Dewdrop Cure. So 3 mana, return up to 2 target creatures with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the gift was promised, return up to 3 creatures with each. So literally, you could just combo out by giving him a card and just win the game that way there, which is kind of wild. Mana Confluence and all the duels kind of mixed into there. Luris Companion now too, which is kind of cool with the Amalia combo. Then go to 4-color Herald 4-color Storm Herald, not Neo Storm. So this deck here is all about a self-mill deck, and you are putting the most amount of pants possible on Storm Herald. So Storm Herald has haste, and when it enters the battlefield, return any number of aura cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. They all go onto the Storm Herald. It attacks that turn, and then you exile them all at the end of turn. So basically, you're setting up to one-shot your opponent. You have things like Ancestral Mask, which gets +2/2 for each other enchantment. This is a global effect, so it includes your opponent. You have Crystal Carapace, gets +3/3 and has Ward. You have Mantle of the Wolf, plus 4/4, and you get some wolves for the following turn. You have Epic Proportions, plus 5/5 in Trample. You have plus 7/7 in Trample with the Prodigious Growth. The ways you put cards into your graveyards: Collective Brutality, Founding in the Third Path, Glimpse the Unthinkable, Otherworldly Gaze, Faithless Looting, and then you have Unearthed as another way to reanimate a Storm Herald, Active Negation to protect your combo. Izzet Wizards, featuring no lizards, 67%. So Wizards got a huge boost from the Galvanic Discharge being nerfed to only 2 mana. Your 1 mana, 3 toughness gets a little safer in terms of the deck. This version of the deck has dropped Dreadhorde Arcanist to be a more aggressively slanted deck. You have Storm Chaser Mentor from the most recent set, Haste 1/1 Prowess that makes your instant and sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. So you have Shove Aside in here. So they got rid of the Galvanic plan, Shove Aside just being able to work in the mirrors. Reckless Charge, Play with Fires. Mockingbird is another card. So this is one that could copy any of your creatures. Now, notably, the wording on this is a little bit different than other clones, where it's just total mana spent. So if you play a blue and 1, it copies a 2-drop. You don't need to spend blue plus 2 mana. So note that when you're casting the card, but it could copy any of your like Slick Shots, Storm Chaser Mentor. Basically just becomes another copy of your best creature kind of in play. It also gives it flying, which is kind of notable for things like Storm Catch Mentor or Soulscar Mage, which don't normally have flying. And then just your burn package. First view of energy post nerfs. So we have Mardu Sacrifice, 67%. So this is a base red-black sacrifice deck that plays some white cards because they're good. So you are using the Bombardment plan. You have Cthulhian Nightmares to reanimate stuff. Trap Finder can help you find things, but basically Marionette Apprentice drains them, Bombardment pings them, and then just ways to kind of sacrifice for value. Deadly Disputes, Village Rites, all in here. A lot of ways to flip the Johnnies. You could steal your opponent's things with Claim the Firstborn, Great Blades, Catch All Removal, and then Flage as another mana sink for the deck. So one way to kind of take the deck post bans, not relying on any of the like white cards that got nerfed. Still playing the Ajani Bombardment. Ajani should have been the card they hit more than anything. Izzet Belcher. So Belcher here, 67%. So this is an Izzet deck. And you're like, but Joe, where are the lands? They're all here hiding. So we got a bunch of new lands in Modern Horizons. And this deck is basically looking to cast a Belcher, activate it, and you get to hit your opponent for damage equal to the number of cards in your library. You can use Ironcrag Feat, and then that generates enough mana to cast the Belcher and activate it the same turn. Some cards we have in the deck. This version is not playing Indomitable Creativity, so you can play creatures. So Scourge Prospector ramps you. Reckless Barbarian is another way to ramp you. So you have these creatures that can then just be like rituals in a sense. You kind of set them aside and then cast them to get ahead on the Char Belcher. Plunderer's Prize is a way to seek. So seek an on-land artifact with mana value X or less, put it into the battlefield. So basically X is 4, you find your Belcher, always. Stargate Riches for ramp, you have all these creatures, these utility lands that also work, and then you have Glimpse the Impossible. Exile top 3 cards of your library, you may play those cards until end of turn, at the beginning of your next step. Basically, whatever you don't play just becomes Eldrazi signs, which then help you ramp as well. The Boogeyman, Boros Energy, 66%, 100 games. People are still playing it. There's the life gain version, just 2 bombardments. You're probably not going to be able to go as wide with Ocelote's Pride. I think the thing that's most wrong, 100% needs to be play full of Johnny's. Johnny's the best card in the deck. Play 4. But yeah, Galvanic Discharge only generates 2 mana now. Guide of Souls is 4 to activate. You may also want to maybe switch up your removal. Portable Hole has a lot more utility instead of Static Prison. But you have the life gain plan with Voice of the Blessed mixed into here. You could probably play the Prismatic Vista as well in this list just to have better mana. Mono Blue Eldrazi. Yes, the Eldrazi folks. So 60% here. So with this deck here, we're leveraging Ugin's Labyrinth as a way to get ahead on mana. There's Archway of Innovation in here. Gives you Improvise to get you some value as well. Notably, this is always going to be a tap land in the deck because you don't actually play islands. So something of note. We have Causeless Command, Ramp, Graveyard Exile, Removal, Card Draw, pretty flexible card, Soul Transformer as Ramp. Cameo meets the Story Circle. Could I tell you what this card does off the top of my head? No, I can't. So let's go on that journey together. Until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, gets -2/0 till the turn. So kind of playing up to that Cameo Planeswalker from Modern Horizon effects. Discard any number of cards, then investigate twice for each discarded. Shuffle up to 3 target cards from your graveyard into your library. So I don't really know why this one's in here, but I guess it's just to slow down your opponent a bit. Ugin's Binding is a bounce, and then when you cast a big thing, you get some value. I guess but you're only playing 1 Kappa Cannon here, which doesn't fully make sense. Power Stone in here as a way to ramp. You have a bunch of like 7 drops here. Devour Destiny, that helps you set up your draw. Drowner's a land or a 7 drop. Null Drifter for card advantage. Breaker of Creation to gain you a whole bunch of life. Ugins, Ulamogs, and Emrakul's on the top end. I don't know why this is in here, to be honest. I would probably just play like more ramp, or honestly even just like a bounce effect. There's a bunch of 2-mana rocks. You could play Mind Stone or stuff like that. You really just want to get ahead on mana. Then we go to 5-color Reanimator. So this is a combo deck. This one was won in best of 3 when Energy was very popular. That qualified for the Arena Championship. We highlighted it in a video and we did a deck on it, or the creators. So basically this deck here, you are using Shifting Woodlands. So we've played Shifting Woodlands decks, the Omniscience combo versions. This is a fair but still combo version of the deck. So you're self-milling, you have Faithless Looting, you have Malevolent Rumble, you have Cathartic Pyre. What you're trying to do is 2 things. Set up that you get Shifting Woodlands into play. That's your first step. The Woodlands becomes a copy of either Omniscience or God Pharaoh's Gift. You have Omniscience, you cast big Eldrazi's. If you have God Pharaoh's Gift, you reanimate big Eldrazi's, or Atraxas, or Elish Norns, whatever it may be. Interaction thing. God Pharaoh's Gift exiles Ulamog to cast it. Ulamog token that comes into play sees the exiled copy of Ulamog, so it comes in with 10 counters on it, so it has Annihilator 10 when it attacks your opponent, which is kind of cool. Surgical for Graveyard Hate. Smuggler's Surprise is a fair way to put things into play as well. Artillery Enthusiast helps you kind of churn through your deck to find combo pieces. Haywire Might's an artifact and a creature for the Woodlands domain. Traverse also can help you find your Shifting Woodlands or any of your combo pieces. We have Jeskai Control 57%. So notably as well, this deck is gone back to Shove Aside as its removal option. Still playing Tune the Narrative, Spell Snares, you have Helix, Lightning Helix, Reprieve, Snapcasters. Still opting to play Wrath the Skies since you could just pay X into it as a sweeper option. Flage is your main win condition in this deck. Technically, Snapcaster is a win condition along with Hall or Castle. Invert Polarity, Flame of Anor works with the Snapcasters, Toxic Deluge, or Memory Deluge, and Lorion's Reveal. Notably, no Tamios in this particular build of Control. Then a couple community decks. So this one by Centuriarian went 124 and 69, and it's a Jund Monsters Guide. So what you're trying to do with this deck is with Monster Manual, you can put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. You can play Calamity, Galloping Inferno, copy something that way there, and get some value. So this one here is just about ramping, bunch of early rampers. You can play things like Birds Paradise as well in here. Like 1 mana accelerants over the 2 mana. It's up to you how you want to kind of build that, but the kind of core of the deck is Howlpack Piper, Monsters Manual, put into play big creatures, copy them with Calamity. So interesting deck here. Big Timmy deck energy. We have Prof's Profile. They went 29 and 17 with a Song of Creation Storm deck. So Song of Creations, you can play an additional land each turn. Whenever you cast a spell, you draw 2 cards. Beginning of your end step, you discard your hand. So the kind of core of this deck is play Song of Creations and then just play a bunch of 0 costing artifacts to churn through your deck, develop Storm Count, and then Grapeshot your opponent to death. You can counter your own spells with an Offer You Can't Confuse to create Treasure. That gives you the requisite mana for Grapeshot. Surgical is a free thing to cast, so it builds up Storm Count, Strike It Rich, all that. So a very all-in combo deck that's somewhat hard to interact with since a lot of people don't have enchantment removal, and it's not necessarily reliant on the graveyard like some of these other combo decks are. And then we have Mono Green Devotion. So this one went 98 and 59 by Inspiro. So this one here, we have for the mono green deck, Nykthos, all the accelerants, Fanatic Amogus. We have the Elcaster Trailblazer. This version's on the line as well for mana sink. Karn the Great Creator is a way to get a Karn board going. A couple of Eldrazi's on the top end, and then just your Karn package. Graveyard Hate, our activated abilities, Mindslaver to take over their turns, Chroma's Memorial. So just really like lean, mean machine. I realized I didn't include... Let me find... There should be a Persist deck. That's the one I'm missing here. Showed up in Diamond. Okay, so 4-color Reanimator Storm. I was getting an error with this, so I'll include this one at the end, but let's just get this set up. So there's a few different Persist combos. Basically, the core of the deck is you self-mill and you persist. You know, Mojo on Twitch, streamer, was playing this a lot, got #1 Mythic early on in the season with it, had a really high win rate. For this deck, you self-mill, you use things like Mizzix's Mastery to target the Emergent Ultimatums, which then gets you Scholars back, or you can use like Conspiracy Unraveler to then recast big stuff from your hands. Breach gets you Emergent Ultimatum gets you Breach the Multiverse, or you can have like Mind's Desire style effects. So you're just kind of storming off. You could win through Tendrils of Agony as one of your win conditions. You could just win through attacking. You have Fae of Wishes that can then go find you either like Tendrils or an extra turn spell. There's a lot of different ways to kind of combo out from there. But basically the core of the deck is like Mizzix, find you like Emergent or self-mill, and then persist back Scholar to copy the Emergent, or persist back Conspiracy Unravel. A couple different ways to kind of look at it from that case. But we'll include that one as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you stay safe, and we'll catch you for the next one.